Okay, so this is my first video I've done in a while because I just started a new class called The World in the 21st Century. And yeah, so this is going to be the first video that I've done so far. So I'm going to make this topic on the Cold War. And basically we start off saying that it was the end of World War II, and what happens next is Europe is divided into two different parties. And the new war begins called the Cold War. And the ramifications of this is still felt today. And in World War II, there was over 50 million people that died. So we looked at communism, which just means that, basically state-owned property and one political party is in charge, or one person is in charge. Then we looked at the power vacuum in Asia. And basically the area became up for grabs after the Japanese moved out of the land. So the economic cost of World War II, everybody was affected by it. But except for the U.S., who had the least amount of casualties. So the formation of the UN is the next topic we talked about, and that was just that it first existed as the League of Nations, and then it failed to prevent war, so they started to reproduce this as a stronger term called the United Nations, and it was an organization of all the states looking out for each other, basically. And there had been a Security Council, which was made up of the USSR, the USSR, United States, China, France, and Great Britain. And each of the council members held a veto, which is the right to reject a proposal or a decision made by the council. And 10 countries held a 2-year term, so it would change ever so often, So the next part that we looked at was the origin of bipolar worlds in Europe. And basically that just means that in the Cold War, there was the two people, the Communist Soviet Union and the Democratic United States. And basically the economic instability was the main reason for experimenting with new types of political parties. So, Korea was split right down the middle at the 38 parallel, and the North Korea was controlled by the Soviet Communist Party, and the South Korea was controlled by the Western Democratic Party. And it was thought to be, because of the conflict, it was thought to be the Third World War, So then we looked at Slane's quest for Soviet control, and basically the Soviet Union took steps to dominate countries, and they included countries like Russia, Bulgaria, and Hungary. And although on paper they were their own separate country, they were all under communist control. And Europe began to divide into parts. Russia gained independence in the 1960s, but is still influenced by the Soviet control. So we looked at the fact that Soviet Union took over many countries after the war, and basically President Truman believed that he was eventually going to take over the United States and move closer and closer, because as the years went on, the Soviet Union started to move towards controlling lots of parts of land under communist control. So the So totalitarianism, I don't know if I said that right, but it just means that the state is under control by one person and one party. So there was a containment policy, and that happened when Sir Winston Churchill referred to the famous speech of the Iron Curtain, and it believed that the Soviet Union, there was a curtain, and the Soviet Union had the communists behind that curtain. So the Red Army took over tons of nations behind this Iron Curtain. So the Truman Doctrine, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but President Truman believed that it was the United States' duty to help these other countries. So he went to the Congress I think he borrowed maybe around $4 million to fight in Turkey for the safety of the U.S. So he wanted to put a halt to Slane's control over the nations. And when he went to the Congress, they said that you have to scare the hell out of the American population and people, and if that happens, then we will help you. So they began to make the Marshall Plan, which just means that they decided that they were going to help rebuild countries economically through like aid assistance, and it worked very effectively. The United States had the most economic stability, is what Truman believed, and that was his main reason why the United States had to help, and no other country could do it. They believed that the whole world hanged in the balance of this Marshall Plan. So the next thing that happened, Slane started to not fight back, but fight back, I guess, started the Berlin Blockade, which just means it was the first international crisis of the Cold War, and it was the first part that actually had resulting in casualties. So the Soviets blocked the Western Allies transportation into Berlin. They blocked the railways and the road access into different sectors of Berlin. So for Harry Truman, they began the Berlin Airlift, which was the fact that the Soviets wanted control of Berlin, so they cut off all the supplies. So the Berlin Airlift would come in every day, and I think it was every 3 minutes in the video that I watched, but they would come in every day and drop off supplies and foods and things that you need to survive. And it was said that there was over 200,000 flights in 1 year, and the United States flew in over 13 tons of food and supplies. So then we moved on to the next part, which was the solidification of the bipolar eras. So they basically made treaties, and the first one was NATO, which is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which was the North Alliance committing to defend the collapse of the Western Europe. And I think among those there was Canada, of course the United States, and then the Cominform, which was the political organization of all of the Soviet Union dominated countries under the control of this Soviet Union. The Communist Party, and that was France, Yugoslavia, and Poland. And the Comcon, which was under economic control, tells states basically what to do, what food they could make, where they could export it, and stuff like that. And then there was also the Warsaw Pact, which was in Berlin. No, sorry, not Berlin, in Poland. And basically they overthrew countries, and the countries were to obey the Soviet command. And yeah, so that's what I got for the Cold War, and I'll make my next video. So, okay, talk to you later, bye.